subscribe.
Fight fans, and welcome. And my special guest here with me today is welterweight boxer Michael Mckinson. Michael, how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm away in Belfast this week. Training over here, sparring over here, as you can see by the bruises and stuff. Just in my room, at the moment.
When do you actually come back from Belfast?
Sunday morning. So at the moment, I've been going away every other week. Big shout out to my sponsors HSBM for doing it and sorting it for me. So um, I was up in Scotland a couple of times, week on, week off. There was no sparring for me in Scotland this time, so I've come to Belfast, where it all started for me.
Mm.
Um, Over here quite a lot, so yeah, it's good. It's good to get away. I've got a 12-week old son at home,
Mm.
and I've been going away for more than half his life every other week. So it's difficult, but you've got to be selfish and you've got to make these sacrifices because if something comes up, we're going to be ready.
Well, I was just going to say your sacrifices, obviously, they all need to be taken intact of what you're trying to do. You need these opportunities. So what we're
Sure.
going to do is bring up. Uh, you've let some frustrations out as of late on social media.
Mhm.
You tweeted on X recently, which I'll quote the tweet: "The most frustrating part of my career now is not getting any phone calls and being left on the shelf. A 27-2 record, 5 international titles. I'm training, so hopefully we get a call soon." You're not the first fighter who's getting frustrated at being left on the lack of opportunities. Do you want to elaborate on this for us?
Yeah, like you look at 2 and a bit years ago, I headlined in America. I headlined on live on DAZN on a Golden Boy card against Virgil Ortiz and gave a great account of myself. You would have thought great things would have come off that. I left Texas. That's nearly 3 years ago now. I left Texas with kind of a lot of reassurance that things would have been okay, but they haven't been great since. I've had a couple of good TV slots on like low down on the card since then, and then I took a loss in October, only my second defeat. I had the flu going into the fight, thought I'd wiped it, and when I realised that I'd not wiped it, it was too late. I was already round 2, 3 in the fight, so it's been tough. And ever since then, because I lost, they want to leave you on the shelf. You know what I mean? I'm far from finished. I'm only 31. I haven't been in a lot of hard, grueling fights, and like you see all these welterweights domestically as well, like fights being made, and then my name never gets thrown into the mix, and my name never gets mentioned because secretly they all do know that I'm the boogeyman still. It's difficult though because I'm at the stage of my career where I don't want these years to pass me. I'm um I'm 31 now. I've had 29 fights. These are the years that count. These are the fights that count. So we want them now. I don't want
Mm.
to keep waiting and stuff like that and being chucked aside. Like I've proved that I can compete at world level. Half of the domestic fighters that we've got, who knows if they can compete at world level? Obviously, you've got Jack Catterall, who can compete at world level. Josh Taylor, who used to be able to compete at world level. You've got to give Echo a shot now. Um, Other than that, Crocker, possibly he's fought in the final eliminator. He's got that fight. But other than that, the other guys that keep getting mentioned, they can't and they haven't proven themselves. I've proven myself, and it's tough not being thrown into the mix and not getting opportunities. It really is tough. You know, a little stat that I want to throw out there. I've been a pro 10 and a half years. I've literally just done my 11th annual medical year. So I'm in my 11th year as a pro.
Yep.
I've had 29 pro fights. I've won 5 international titles. I think it's 5, it may be 6. I've been in a lot of 10 rounders, a couple of 12 rounders. I've been about for a long time. I've only had a promoter for 3 fights. out of my 29 fights. And that is another stat that I've thrown on X recently.
Was that
Everything
was
I've
that
done.
promoter Eddie? Was that Eddie Earn? It was, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
so I was signed by Matching for 3 fights. That's the only help I've ever had, the promotional help I've had in boxing. And that's 26 fights without a promoter. I've done pretty well, but at the same time, imagine my career if I had backing and I had a promoter like these other guys. Imagine what I could have done, or
yeah,
could do. Like, do you know what I mean? It is tough. It is tough. They all know. They all know as well. They all know what's what, and yeah, it's just tough times.
yeah. You absolutely valid points you've made there. Incredibly frustrating for you. Do you think that boxing now has become a lot harder for a lot of boxers? I mean, for example, we praise the Turkey Al Sheikh effect of boxing, the
Mm.
Saudi Arabia shows, Riyadh
Yeah.
season. As fans, we're loving it that we're getting the big fights and the more big stat cards. But it's not all plain sailing. Do you think, as a boxer, that it could be affecting you?
Yeah, because if you think about it, I could beat most of these guys. Um, I deserve to be on them platforms. I deserve to have what they've got, and yeah, it is it's a horrible feeling. I don't want my career to pass me with what ifs. I want these opportunities now.
Well, you
I've
mentioned,
made it clear in my career, right? There's lots of boxers that want to be bubble wrapped, or a lot of boxers that are being bubble wrapped and things like that. 2 years ago, just over 2 years ago, I went to Texas to fight the most feared welterweight on the planet in his backyard. So it's not a thing. Oh, I'm just saying it. I'm just talking. I actually deliver and I do what I like what I say. Do you know what I mean? So it's not even a case of that. Um, I'm willing to fight any welterweight on the planet. Like I
I can
am. Just give me the opportunity.
I can 100% tell that, and I can tell how frustrated and pissed off you are with the lack of opportunities. And I totally agree with where you're coming from. When you look at your record, there is
Mm.
people and boxers getting opportunities before you, really, where you're not down the pecking order at all, are you? But you mentioned your record there: 29 fights, you've won 27, four stoppages. I've got some of your titles that I've actually wrote down here. You become WBC Youth World Champion. You've held the WBC International Silver title multiple times. WBO Global, WBO European. Why do you actually think you're not getting opportunities? Do you think you're high risk, low reward at this stage? Is it because you're an awkward
Uh,
southpaw?
Not only that, I fought for a final eliminator for the WBA world title.
Yep.
I fought for an IBO title as well. Um, what was the question again? Sorry.
Like, why do you think that you're not getting these opportunities? Do you think you're high risk, low reward at this
I
stage?
am.
Do you think it's your awkward southpaw style?
Yeah, I know. Like the high risk, low reward is what I've always been, but you kind of think of it over the years. I've kind of put a lot into box. I fought Ortiz, so am I still a high risk, low reward? Went over there and won rounds against Ortiz and things like that. I went over to fight on two Golden Boy fighters. The first time beat a Golden Boy fighter on a Golden Boy show in LA. You know what I mean? So I have done a lot more than your average welterweight that we've got. So they could still use the high risk, low reward. The fact of the matter is, I have a style that completely exploits a most out there, bar Ortiz. I've got a style that makes people look bad, and they don't want to fight me because I'm a problem for all sorts. And it's kind of for years it was a bitter sweet pill to swallow. Like there's a reason that they're avoiding me. There's a reason I'm not being spoken about. But it's got to the stage now where it's like it's not even like bittersweet anymore. It's horrible.
Yeah, yeah. Totally get it. I mean, you just mentioned about being the problem. Your nickname is the problem. Where does that actually come from?
So my dad is my trainer and manager, and obviously I've always been around professional boxing 5, 6 years old. I grew up in a boxing household. My dad being he started as a house second on the Maloney shows years ago, and he had his own stable of fighters. And so I was in the pro gym. I was in my amateur gym 2, 3 times a week. I was in the pro gym the other nights of the week, sparring pros from 14, 15 years old. And I was always skillful. I'd always kind of make a miss, but I kind of had to adapt an even more awkward style, so I wasn't getting hit by men. And my dad used to call me a problem, and the other guys used to be like, "Oh, like Mikey's a problem, isn't he?" Like so, but I never actually adapted the nickname until I turned pro.
Oh,
I
really?
was I was being called the problem for years before I turned pro, but I finally got called the problem officially when I turned pro.
Brilliant. And that, like you say, that could be why you're being avoided. You're a problem to a lot of them. I mean,
Yeah.
you mentioned about some of the fights you've had. You shared the ring with Chris Congo. You beat him.
Yeah.
You fought for the IBO world title. You shared the ring with Virgil Ortiz, which was a WBA eliminator. You've done 9 rounds with Ortiz, who is absolutely, by the way, looking phenomenal now. He's look fantastic fighter. Recollections of that fight when you got your eliminator? Was you just beaten by the better man on the night?
Do you know, I didn't actually know it was a final eliminator until fight week.
Oh, really?
They made that last minute.
Okay.
Um, I was actually really high up in the WBO rankings at the time. I think I was third and Ortiz was first. So I originally thought it could have been for a WBO um, final eliminator. Got to fight week and it got changed. I was in the WBA rankings as well, and he was high up in them too. So they made it WBA final eliminator. And not only that, you know, a lot of people when he was on his rise would go over to fight Ortiz and kind of had lost before they got in the ring. I went fully prepared. There was not a doubt in my mind I was going to lose that night. You know, I really was confident. We were all confident we were going to pull off a massive shock, and you know, the plan was just to get through the first 6 rounds. Everyone thinks you're going to get put out in 2, 3 rounds. Get through the first 6 rounds, and then we were going to start talking to him down the stretch. He'd not been past 7, I think, and I was going to whisper in his ear. He was a young lad. He like, "Why haven't you knocked me out yet, Virgil?" And kind of, I won the first round. I won round 7, so I think after 7 I was 5-2 down, and but I was always in the fight. I cut him. I was winning rounds. I was making him look very ordinary. And then round 8 happened, and he hits very hard, and I got a hip injury in round 8, where I couldn't put no weight on my right side. I couldn't throw my right arm, and went back to the corner, kind of defenceless at this point. But my dad let me go out for round 9 on pride more than anything. But I done really well in the fight. Like I earned respect by through everybody in the Dickies Arena in Texas. Um, Everyone was talking highly of me. I went in
I
the.
Sorry, Michael. I think I'm just going to have to end that, and I'll have to cut it and bring it back in. Or so I
Okay.
think your sound's gone a little bit funny. Right then, Michael, back from a technical glitch. So you've just told us about the Virgil Ortiz fight. You was beaten by a phenomenal fighter. He's now gone on to beat Boachuk and Madrimov since your fight. So there's no disgrace in losing to Virgil Ortiz. So moving on to when you was contracted, you had a 3 fight deal with Matchroom as we spoke about earlier. What is your actual promotional situation right now? I believe you are a free agent.
Yeah, I am. So I've had 29 fights. I've only had a promoter and help and backing for 3 of those, and that was the Ronowski fight, the Alex Martin fight, and the Ortiz fight, and then I haven't had any since. That was a 3 fight deal. The third fight being the Ortiz fight, and yeah, and I haven't had a promoter since, and it is difficult because I like to think, what could I do with a promoter and backing, because it would be so much easier, you know.
Well, you have actually, in some of them fights, you have actually fought on boxer shows, haven't you? But you wasn't actually promoted by boxer, was you?
Yeah, they were doing some real good stuff down on the south coast because of Chris Billam Smith. And obviously, me being a South Coast fighter that shifted quite a few tickets for those shows, um, it was it was good for them to have me on. I think I fought on four boxer cards, which was good because it was kind of like a little bit of a homecoming from fighting in America to fighting in Bournemouth, only 50 minutes down the road, which was good. But obviously, I was really far down on those cards, and like, I would have liked to have been better. I was one of the most experienced fighters on the card and stuff. So, um, but yeah, we boxed on a couple, and then obviously I lost for the IBO in October, and then nothing's come since.
Yeah, I can imagine how that is frustrating for you when you're sort of like one of the main names on the show and you are fighting down the card. That must be very frustrating as a fighter. So your last fight, you was out in a six rounder. It was an easy victory against Ryan Frost in December last year. Do you have any fight news for us at all? As since you've aired your frustration on social media, has it come to anything yet?
See, the Ryan Frost win was my last one. It was only 7 weeks after I boxed for the IBO. Now, I wanted to get out as soon as possible because what a lot of people didn't know is I went into the IBO fight just after having the flu. And I beat myself up about it because my decision to still fight, it was I'd not had an income all year, and I had an IBO title fight dangled to me that probably wouldn't have ever got rescheduled if I didn't fight. Um, so I gambled. I gambled. I thought if I could get over the flu, like going into fight week, I'd be okay. But you never really get over the flu, and I soon realised that when it was round two in the fight, and I was didn't have anything in my whole body, and I had a great camp. I was out sparring with Boots Ennis and everything, so did beat myself up. So what I said to my dad is, listen, just get me out. Let me box as soon as possible, just for my own self. Like
Yeah.
no money, nothing like that. And um, got out just before the year was out in a six rounder, 7 weeks after being in the ring. And then yeah, nothing's really come of it. I know that my manager's speaking to a few people right now. Not much I can say really, because obviously without contracts and things like that,
Mhm.
it's all broken promises until something's signed, isn't it? And that's
Yeah.
all it's been for the last 7 months. I had a opportunity on a week's notice early in the year against a big punching African that was on a boxer card. And he was a super welterweight, and he big punching. That was a week's notice, and I wasn't fit, so we had to turn that one down. I'd only just got back to the gym. Um, that's it, really. We could have been going to France in June to fight David Papeau. That nearly happened. Uh, the WBO number one, and then their promoter didn't arrange a venue or anything in time. So they're the only two carrots that were dangled in the first part of this year. Um, but I know that my dad is talking to a few people right now, and I think over the coming weeks we may have more solid news.
That's great stuff. So you are feeling more confident that you will have something coming up at the very least.
I hope so. I hope
Hope
so.
so.
Like, you got to think I'm away now. Every other week for the last 6 weeks, I've been away from my 12-week-old son, away from my daughter, my girlfriend, her kids. Like it ain't easy being away, and I'm sacrificing it without a date. Now it'd be easier if I had a date being
Absolutely.
away, but I'm sacrificing all this without a date in the hope that something comes up. And like over the last few days and the last kind of week, it's kind of been a little bit more optimistic that something's going to happen very soon.
Well, that's fantastic to hear, and I really, really hope you do get that opportunity again because you can tell just speaking to you on here, your dedication to the sport is second to none. The way you're away from your family, it's a lot of hard work. So I think that's the perfect time to end this interview. And as I say, I wish you all the luck. Fingers crossed for you. carry on the hard training, and thanks for your time as well, Michael. I know we had a little technical glitch, but we've got on again to do it. So
Yeah,
and we'll catch up with you in the future. So thanks for your time, Michael.
brilliant. Thanks for having me on.
Cheers.
It took 2 times, but we got it done in the end.
I'm only a small channel. I'm learning a lot, and sometimes you get these technical glitches, and all it does is learns me how to edit things. So brilliant stuff, and yeah, we'll catch up in the future. Good luck again, mate. Thank you.
Good. Thank you.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.